are men and women who, through our years of consciousness, through our years of advocacy, through our years of study and scholarship, we all came to the conclusion that you are not a people. You cannot be considered to be an independent people. You cannot be considered to be a strong people unless you own land, control the infrastructure on that land, and then claim nationhood. We ask you who are in these groups, not saying that it's a bad question, not saying that it's a critical question, but it is one that you need to ask yourself, as I ask ourselves, as we ask ourselves, what is the end game? What is your organization leading you to? What do you see 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the line for black people? If you say that you're fighting for black people in your organization, if you say your organization advocates for black people, what is the end game? When they say that they're collecting money in your organization, what is the end game? When they say that they're collecting skills and manpower in your organization, what is the end game? And finally, when they are asking you for your personal information, your social security number and all the other stuff, because that's what these organizations are doing now, making you fill out all of these forms and things like that, you know what I'm saying, gathering all this data on you. Before I give you my data, what is the end game? If you're a Muslim in the Nation of Islam, one of the branches or one of the divisions of it, and you say you got the true teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, what is the end game? If you are a member of the Nuwabians and you're trying to carry on the work of Dr. York, what are you doing that for? What is the end game? If you are a Moor from the Moorish Science Temple and you practice nationality, what is the end game? Because in our judgment, our end game is to have an independent nation off the shores of America so we cannot be controlled, terrorized, and or interfered with by the government of America, who have, we know and understand, contributed to the lack of prosperity and want of the black man for over 400 years. And so therefore, brothers and sisters, as you can see, I'm pretty fired up about this particular show. This is the last show of a 3-part series entitled Nation with Borders. And in this particular show, we want to bring things to a close. But let me, first of all, let me read my monologue to you before we get on with the get on. Okay? So our monologue goes as follows. Is Nation with Borders Part 3, the final chapter, Full Spectrum Security. We round out our excellent discussion on Nations with Borders with a comprehensive view of network, fire security, and life safety. How will you defend your nation against fire risk as well as fire threat? A. B. How will you defend your nation against a network attack? And C. Finally, how will you notify your populace of attack and or disaster? These questions are critical for any nation community to exist, get it. And so therefore, brothers and sisters, Honorable Elijah Muhammad says to us, he says, this is on the part of the leadership of the so-called Negro educators, teachers, politicians, and religious leaders, or teachers, or whatever you may be. These people should get together, confer over the best way to unshackle the people from the hands and power of the slave master's children, and whosoever has the best solution, listen closely, because I'm going to repeat this, whosoever has the best solution of our people's problems, we should agree and then put it to force and carry it into practice, work for it, fight for it, die for it, and we will soon be respected not only by our people in Asia and Africa, but the very children of our oppressors. I have to repeat that. Whosoever has the best solution of our people's problems, we should agree and then put it to force and carry it into practice, work for it, fight for it, die for it, and we will soon be respected not only by our people in Asia and Africa, but the very children of our oppressors. So why do we need borders and why do we need security, brothers and sisters? Why do we need that? Why do we need, if you're going to say that you have a nation within a nation, if you're going to build a nation here in America, let's just say you get what you said that you wanted. Let's just say that you got, some of you say you want 12 colonies in the South. Some of you say you want 7. Some of you say you want, state of California. Goddamn, I don't know what you want. But some of you say, well, we need to buy up swaths of land in the ghetto, you know what I'm saying, rehab houses and begin to build that and plant a flag and say you got a nation. Okay, that's cool. I dig it. I'm not going to fight against you. And I hope that I don't sound condescending when I say that. But then some of you say, well, we need to go off the shores of America. We need to go to Asia. We need to go to Africa. We need to go this, that, and the next thing. Some of us are saying that too. Okay? Some of us saying we should go to Indonesia. Some of us are saying we should go to Turkey and other places like that. Okay? But no matter where you say you want to go, you're saying that you want to be able to control your own context and your own reality. You realize that black people don't really have any power, that we need land, and we need nations at least. The infrastructure is a part that we argue over, but you're saying that that's what you need. Okay? So when you, in fact, buy these swaths of land, let's just say you buy 3, 4, 5 blocks. When you, in fact, build on somebody else's country in a host nation's country, and you get your own plot of land and begin to build on it, the consensus has been thus far that we would do better with our neighbors and get more help if we did not have any borders. And it is my argument through this scholarship, through these last 2 shows, that is insane, because if you're going to say that you want to have a Pan-Africanist nation, a nationalist nation, a black nationalist nation, an Islamic nation, a Hebrew nation, any kind of nationalist organization that is for the upliftment, the prosperity, and the better quality of life of black people, then you must understand that just by the very thought of that, that is taken as an act of war by our enemy, period. Don't like it, don't want to see it happen, don't want to see you do it, and will try to assassinate you, will try to exterminate your family, will try to even stunt the growth of your children and exterminate your children through biological attacks, through military attacks, through propaganda wars, through agents and provocateurs. This is a declaration of an act of war by your enemy. And so, therefore, if you are talking about doing that and you're saying that you have no border, then that is insane, because the first thing that you need if you're saying that you want to do that is a border. And a border is strictly a means, or simply a means, of controlling who comes in, who goes out, what goes in, and what goes out. Period. When it goes in and when it goes out, and how it goes in and how it goes out. You now have the ability to you have the ability to influence what happens in your territory. You have the ability. You cannot say that drugs are being sold because they are letting it. You now control it. You are now the person that lets it in. You cannot say that the people are killing each other, black people are killing each other because we are victims of arms dealers. You are now controlling the guns coming in and the guns going out. You can no longer say that we are, our children are ignorant because of propaganda, because now you control the airwaves. Now you get what I'm saying here, brothers and sisters? You get what the mission of the BIO is thus far? We are an organization that wants to control our life context, period. I don't understand why there's so much opposition to what we're trying to do. We're trying to control our life context. We want to make sure that we don't, everything that you have been saying at lectures or hearing at lectures for the last 20, 30, 40 years, we want to put an end to it. We want to be able to put that responsibility on ourselves. We want to be able to say we control the media. We control what was on TV. We don't want to bitch about the Oscars no more. We want to be able to put on our own Oscars. We don't want to bitch about the athletic leagues anymore. We want to control that. The only way you can control that is to have your own independent nation and have it bordered and control your borders. Period. 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 And so therefore, brothers and sisters, we need borders for that reason, but strong borders are worth nothing if you don't have security. Boom. And so therefore, strong borders, brothers and sisters, that are patrolled, strong borders, they control disease. They control disease coming in and disease coming out. I don't care where you go. If you go to some tropical nation somewhere, or if you stay here in America, you always have to worry about disease, because disease control is important if you want to be a first-class nation. These are some of the stuff that you guys out there talking, quote-unquote, nation building is not talking about. You need to be able to control disease. Disease and epidemics can take down, listen, if your whole house can get taken down by the flu, then what the hell do you think is going to happen when you have your own nation and someone sends in a Trojan horse with an epidemic laced in it? I keep talking about that, and I want to keep talking about that so you can understand how really real this is. Strong borders also, with good background checks and periodic sweeping checks, ensure that spies and agents are discovered. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean basically is that you know damn well that you have made a lot of money, some of you conscious community teachers. You've made a lot of money exposing who's an agent and who's not. And basically, you know, how you make money is you just basically make everybody an agent. So everybody's an agent. And then you go back to everybody's roots. Like, you know, you want to call this black leader agent. You want to say that black leader was funded by the mafia and this one was funded by the Jews or whatever. So you can bitch about that for years and say that we as a people, our movements, the Black Panthers, the Nation, and all these other movements were taken down by spies and agents. What we're saying at the BAIO is we, by creating an independent nation, by building an independent nation, we don't want to talk about that no more. We don't want to point the finger at Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton being agents no more. We want to be able to control and deal with agents, spies, and provocateurs in our own territory that is governed by us. You do realize that all you have to do is execute 2 or 3 traitors, and you're inviting your enemy to come into your nation if you build it on his land. You do realize that, right? Because, as I said before, does it make sense for him to send an agent into your territory and allow you to kill him? Does that make sense to you? Does it make sense for them to send a spy into your territory and allow you to terrorize them, interrogate them, and torture them? Does that make sense to you? So therefore, when you talk about building on somebody else's continent, you got to understand that you're subject to their sovereign rules, and you cannot do whatever you want to do. Hence the reason why we say off the shores of America. So strong borders and strong security will help you to deal. I mean, listen, you will always get some agents or spies, but at least you have the ability to counter-spy, you have the ability to catch them, and you have the ability to deal with them. And lastly, brothers and sisters, not lastly actually, strong borders also give early warning and first responders a chance. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is basically if you get attacked, let's just say, for instance, you talk about Black Wall Street, right, which is the most popular thing on the planet now, is everybody saying to have a Black Wall Street, and it got burnt down. We used to have an organization in Philadelphia called Move, and it got burnt down. Now, brothers and sisters, did you learn from that? Did you learn anything from that? Now, in my judgment, the brothers and sisters who built Black Wall Street and the ones who built Move were some of the bravest black men and women in America, period. For you to even make that statement, for you to even say we're going to do this, we know that, that our oppressor is coming to get us, but we don't give a damn. We're going to build on their own land. We're going to call ourselves by the names that we call ourselves. We're going to fly our own flag, and we dare you to come. And they took the dare. So what I'm saying to you is, yes, they were some of the bravest brothers and sisters that we had in the movement. However, you need to learn from that. And what I mean by that is if you put up borders around your nation, if you put up borders around your territory, then you give your first responders, your military, your security, your police force, you give them a chance to respond to any threat, and you give them time to respond to the threat. Because as you will learn, if you study security and you listen to Brother Minister Daoud, what you'll learn is security is not necessarily a form of, it's not more so a function of the beef of that particular defense, but it's the amount of time it gives you. So in other words, any safe can be broken into, any vault can be broken into, any door can be broken into, and any building can be. But the question is, how much time do you have to do so? Because if any building, door, safe can be broken into, but it takes more time, the greater the defense it has, the greater the fortification it has. But if you cut down the time factor, it makes your situation, or it makes whatever it is you have, virtually impregnable. And so, therefore, if you have a nation with borders and you have first responders trained to deal with attacks as well as threats that would pierce your borders, and you have ways in which to detect these threats, and these risks, then you have a way to minimize the time that they have to do damage, and that way you have somebody, you have a strong policy and an effective procedure to deal with an enemy. See, brothers and sisters, you can say whatever you want to about 9/11. Some of you say it happened. Some of you say it was wrong. Some of you say that it's a lie. Some of you say that there's no record of a plane flying into the buildings. Whatever, right? It doesn't really matter to me at this point. You know what matters to me from a security standpoint? What matters to me is, did you see how quickly this country got shut down behind that? Did you see how quickly there was an order given and there was no plane flying in the air no more? Did you see how New York City got locked down and nobody was able to go in and go out? Are you starting to understand what I'm coming from now? 9/11 in the security industry, as in the global security industry, but mainly in America, completely changed the way people saw security. Because that is something that, whether it's a lie, whether it's true, the concept of 9/11 is something that no security practitioner was really anticipating or ever really thought about. And so, therefore, people rested on their laurels for years. And you know what's funny about it? Is that the American procedure, security procedure, was so strong, enforced, and nuanced that the minute that this quote-unquote fiction or real attack happened, everybody knew exactly what to do. The fire department knew what to do. The military knew what to do. The police knew what to do. And the people knew what to do. And everybody knew to go home and await further instruction. And everybody knew to listen to the TV or the radio for further instruction. So the reality of it is whether you think that it's an inside job, it wasn't real, or what it was, the American nation responded to 9/11. If you're going to build a nation, you have to ask yourself, do you think you could put a policy in place that can deal with 9/11? Do you think so? Do you think that you can, do you think that you can deal with it? Because if you cannot, then really the whole concept of having one is moot. So either way, brothers and sisters in the chat room, can you tell me if you hear me? And make sure that you do hear me, because for me, you can hear me. Great, fantastic. Okay. Because, sometimes I go on and I look at my phone and I'm not sure that people can still hear me. So either way, be that as it may, brothers and sisters, these are serious questions that we have to ask. So with borders, in addition to that, since we brought up 9/11 and we brought up the no-fly zone, when you have borders and you have strong borders coupled with strong security, you also can control the airspace. And this is the thing that people are dead afraid of, and you should be afraid of. If you have your own nation, are you not concerned about bombing from the air? Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. This is going to sound funny, but it's not really funny. You're a black power militant, you know what I'm saying? Dude that has 245s and shows up on Facebook, with his guns and 6 million tattoos going across his body. What's he going to do when they drop napalm on him? What's he going to do when they drop Moab on him? You know what Moab is? The mother of all bombs? A hydrogen bomb that is 10,000 times the heat and the power of a nuke? What exactly is he going to do with his 245s? Did he say black power and shoot into the missile? Like, what's going to happen? So you need to be able to control your own airspace. And this is why I say, when you talk about building a nation, you better be serious about this. And you better understand that you are not subject to any comforts and laws when you build on somebody else's territory, because quite frankly, they control the airspace and they can do whatever they want to do to you at any given time and then hash it out in the courts later. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And so therefore, brothers and sisters, I know I'm going off here, but the bottom line is this. Brothers and sisters. Borders are useless unless you have a strong internal security. And borders are also useless unless you have strong, clear, nuanced policy that is enforced. I have to say it again. Borders, as well as nations, are useless unless you have a strong, clear, nuanced policy that is vigorously enforced. And the reality of the situation is, if you do not have a a police force, a task force, and the military force that teach policy and procedure, that educate on policy and procedure, as well as enforce policy and procedure, then this nation within the nation thing and this nation on our own thing is just us pissing in the wind, and you and I need to take our ball, shut up, and go home because we're really not the security. Do you think me that I'm trying to disperse with a whole bunch of information just so that you could be, feel like you know something? You know what my real goal of having these 3 shows is, honestly? My real goal is to give you reality of what you face when you build a nation so that you, brothers and sisters, can really stop saying that you're nation building. You can stop saying that you're nation building by talking on the phone with somebody, that you're nation building by having sex with the black queen, that you're nation building by taking a freaking red magic marker and tracing Mississippi or any other place on the map and say you got a nation. You need to really, really know what is involved in this and what you face. And for me, I can only give you the security standpoint because that's what I do. I'm not going to give you the geographical standpoint. I'm not going to give you, like Brother Jonathan can, the urban planning standpoint. I can't give you the deep financial standpoint like Brother Jelani, as well as as well as Brother Thomas can. I can't even give you the insurance standpoint like Holla can. You know what I mean? Because I don't do that. What I do is security. But eventually, we will all come and we will give you our standpoints of what it is to build a nation so you can stop saying that. You can stop saying that putting 4 fingers together and practicing, quote-unquote, African spirituality is nation building, because that's not nation building. You can stop saying things like group economics is nation building. That's not nation building. That is, you can harvest the money from group economics to build a nation, but what are you going to be doing with the physical building of the nation with that money? And that's what I'm talking to you about, because let me tell you something. The things that I'm about to describe and have been describing, these are very expensive to implement, but they are a must. And if you cheap out on these things or you don't have them at all, then basically you are asking to build something only to be torn down. And it's basically like the 3 Little Piggy, fairy tale that they gave us when we were younger. If you build your house on straw, somebody's going to huff and puff and blow it down, period. So if you sit there and say you're nation building on a sexual relationship with the quote-unquote black queen, you're going to get blown down. If you're saying that you're building, a nation on the on the straw house of quote-unquote African spirituality, you're going to get your house blown down. And finally, if you think that you're building a nation off of group economics where y'all come together, make a goddamn movie, and then have a whole bunch of seminars, your house blown down. I don't care what that coward tells you. Period. Okay? So anyway, brothers and sisters, listen. Let me ask you something. You go look these facts up, because I could give them to you, but I want you to go look them up. What are the chances that you'll be in a house fire? Basically, it's 1 in 4. It's one out of 4 people will be in a house fire sometime in their life. But I want you to go look that up because, I'm lying and I don't know what I'm talking about. And I ain't never touched security before. 1 out of 4 people will be in a house fire. So if 1 out of 4 people will be in a house fire, how many people what do you think is the chance of you building a nation, either here or someplace else, and certain parts of your nation will catch on fire? If you're saying to us that, because we had this debate before, we had this fool say this, we don't want people to develop Africa, because developing Africa, is basically bringing the Western colonial buildings over to Africa. Okay, fool, so what are you going to build it out of? Mud and straw? Because if you build it out of mud and straw and you get firebombed, the whole village is done in 1 second. Do you really want to spend all your blood, sweat, and tears in your whole life building a nation for black people only to have the thing charbroiled within 3 hours? Is that what you want to do? Is that what you're going to feel happy doing? And if you feel happy doing that, you need not ever talk to me. So if there's 1 in 4 chances of you having a house fire, then I think that we need to think a little bit deeper on protection of our nation, specifically fire protection. Because when you look at crime in America, there's a certain portion of crime has to deal with what's called arson. You know what arson is? Arson is basically crime where a person sets fire to another person or a structure. That's arson. And so, back in the old days, as a matter of fact, if you get a copy of Art of War by Sun Tzu, there's an entire chapter devoted to fire attack. You do know that, right? I know a lot of you like to quote, warfare is the greatest affair of the state, you know what I'm saying? Although you're near, appear as though you're far, so you're far, appear as though you're near. You like to quote that part. But do you know that there's a whole chapter devoted to fire attack? There's a chapter devoted to night attack, and a chapter devoted to fire attack. And when I was in Portland, I had the blessing to be in an old-style bookstore that had like 3 floors in it. So they finally had this book I was looking for so long. Because to me, the foremost authority in America to deal with Sun Tzu and military strategy from China is a gentleman named Ralph Cleary. And Ralph Cleary, basically his translation of Art of War to me is the best, but he also has a translation of something Sun Tzu wrote called Fire Attacks. You should get that. Trust me when I tell you should get that. Then you're going to know when you talk this nation within the nation stuff that you're talking. That's going to let you know that you could get your black ass charbroiled from 1,000 different directions, B, and very cleverly, might I add. So anyway, either way. So if a lot of people's houses are burned down and there's a lot of fires set in America by arson, what do you think is going to happen to your nation if you don't have the proper fire protection there? Okay? So let me ask you this. What black communities do you think were brought to ruin by arson? You know that move was fire bombs, right? But did you know this? A lot of times people talk about Japan, and they talk about the 2 bombs that were dropped on Nagasaki, right, and Hiroshima. And so in that, you have these 2 nuclear bombs that were dropped on them, and they say that after they dropped these 2 nuclear bombs, that Japan capitulated. But do you know that story is not true? Did you know that? Did you know that story is not true? What I want you to do is I want you to go into your Google search and look up the name Curtis LeMay. Curtis LeMay is an Air Force engineer that was largely responsible for a lot of reforms that happened to the Air Force and the air military at large during World War II. And Curtis LeMay was one of the main key reasons why Japan surrendered. You know why? It's not because Curtis LeMay engineered the dropping of the 2 nuclear bombs, but Curtis LeMay actually engineered thousands and thousands and thousands of bombs, napalm bombs dropped on Japan. And what they understood, because they studied the structure of the Japanese house, is they understood that it was susceptible to fire, so they dropped tons and tons of bombs, napalm bombs with high explosive and high heat, and they basically burned the Japanese to death, okay? So listen, I know y'all like, Brother Minister, that was preaching doom and gloom tonight. This is real, bro. This is real. What I'm saying to you, though, is that if you build a nation and you look at dudes like me, Daoud, he's a Muslim. We don't want him over there. Dude, I am a security animal. You would do well. You would do well to cozy up next to me, okay? Because not only do I know electronic security, I know fire protection also. And quite frankly, I'm not saying that like I'm bragging, like I got some coin in my pocket, some rare coin that you need. But what I am saying is that you have no idea. You have no idea what you're facing if you don't have a group of professionals, engineers really, in your nation building plans that cannot give you proper fire protection. Because fire is very freaking real. And if you do not have proper fire protection, you're pissing in the wind, B. You don't know what you're doing, quite frankly. Okay, so let me break down fire protection really quick, because I have no idea what that call is, whether they want to talk, but I got to get to, I got to get to Queen of Pharma, then I got to get to network safety, and then I'm going to kirk out because I really got to do something tomorrow. You know how I always say that. But either way, okay, so fire safety in a nutshell. All right, first of all, fire protection is life safety. Fire protection is ruled and governed by very, very, very strict rules. Fire protection of all the branches of security is the most regulated because fire protection really means life or death. You know what I'm saying? And so, therefore, for you to get into the fire protection field, it's a very rewarding field. But at the same time, if you're one of those people who doesn't like to read books, if you're one of those people who's intimidated by words and by numbers and things like that, fire protection is not for you. However, if you're in the conscious community and you spend $2,000-$3,000 on books so you could debate on Sonnet TV, then your black behind needs to be in fire protection. Because if you can remember all that stuff, then you can remember life safety codes. Period. No disrespect to Sonnet or Sonnet TV, by the way. No disrespect to that. No disrespect to the whole 125th movement. All I'm saying to you is that if you can memorize that information and be nuanced with that information, to me, you can also do great things in your real life. You understand what I'm saying? In your personal life and in your business life. And quite frankly, if you are one of those guys who can come on and you can recite all the things that happened in Kemet, that happened in ancient Black Arabia and other places like that, then you can also be a beast as a scientist, a technology major, an engineer, or a mathematician. You can. And that's what we've all been saying in the BAIO from day one. So let's get on with the What is fire protection? Fire protection, quite frankly, consists of two different devices: indicating devices and initiating devices. Initiating devices are smoke detectors, heat detectors, and various other different detectors that basically either are going to detect heat, going to detect smoke, or the combination of the two. And when a fire begins, you have 4 stages of the fire. And I'm not going to go through the 4 stages right now because I've done said, quite a bit right now, and I know the brothers and sisters are chomping at the bit. But what I want to say to you is that you could die from smoke inhalation. You can die from superheated air, by the way, and you can also die by fire burns, and you can die by you can die by suffocation. So there's many different ways that you can die in a fire, and quite frankly, a fire alarm system is your early detection and early warning system, but electronic fire alarm system is useless if you don't have, again, a procedure to get the people outside of the building once they've been notified. What good is it if strobe lights go off and horns go off and you have no way of getting out? Nobody knows nothing because you don't have any fire plan. If you live, let me tell you something, if you're a black man in America and you preside over a family, you got a wife, you got daughters and sons, and you have not gone out over the proper way to get the hell out that house if there's a fire, to me, I don't give a damn what martial arts you study, you have failed your family. If you're a single man or a single woman living in an apartment and you have not figured out how you're going to get out your house and how you will try to minimize a fire when it happens, then you're literally, no pun intended, playing with fire. Because fire is very real, brothers and sisters, and if 1 in 4 people will die or be in a house fire, and there's a certain percentage of people that will die also, then this is something that you really need to look at and you really need to take into account. So therefore, initiating devices, basically, whether they're smoke detectors, heat detectors, or various different other detectors that detect the combination of the two, these things basically report to a central computer or central processor, normally in the fire panel, which is, they abbreviate by FACP, which is Fire Alarm Control Panel. The control panel then sends a signal out to either the fire department, the police department, or both, and tells them come and try to fight this fire that's going on in your house. All right? These things need to be tested semi-annually and some annually, but they need to be tested. So here's where we get that policy enforcing, body in our nation, once again, that you really need to think about. Indicating devices are that which once a fire has been detected, once smoke has been detected, or once high levels of heat has been detected, then you need some way to let everybody else know that they've been detected. Unlike a house alarm, a fire alarm seeks to let everybody know what's going on. You see the difference now? A burglar alarm, it seeks to let certain people know so they could come and apprehend the burglar or prevent the burglary. But a fire alarm seeks to let everybody, not only in the premise, but everybody around the premise know that there's a fire. So you have horns, you have strobes, you have speakers, and you have I don't know if we'll get into it tonight, but you have what's called mass notification. Because, you have blind people, and they need to be able to hear. Then you have deaf people, and they need to be able to see. And then you need to have people with a combination of the two, and they need to be able to get what's called textual. I mean, there's a whole science on letting people know something is wrong in your building. There's a whole science behind it. And this is the essence of fire protection. In addition to that, fire panels seek out and they monitor all the wires for circuit integrity. Because, again, this is life safety. And the white man don't play with this, brothers and sisters. He wants to know your system is working. He wants to know every wire on your system is working. So fire alarms and fire alarm control panels, to me, are far superior to any other control panel because they are constantly monitoring every inch of the wire to make sure that it's working. And if a single nick comes up on that wire, that alarm system is going to go into trouble, and it's going to stick its fat lip out and say, I'm not doing anything till you fix this bad boy. So it gives what's called a trouble. And your system will stay in trouble. This is why if you live in New York City and you may go by a building, you hear that high-pitched sound going by some buildings, you know what that means? That means that their system is in trouble and nobody ain't come to find out what the trouble was yet. So be that as it may, all fire alarm systems are big-time advocates of circuit integrity, meaning they're advocates of your wires being correct and not being faulty, okay? Now, the last thing that you really need to think of and what needs to be thought of in a fire alarm system is how will the system communicate and to whom? And this is where emerging technology comes into play. Because back in the day, in this very, very primitive way that a fire alarm would communicate, but see, the law requires that unlike a burglary panel or an access panel, when it comes to a fire alarm, it has to have two forms of communication because life safety is so serious that they want to be able to say if one fails, the other one got to work. And these got to be tested every freaking once an hour pretty much. They got to try to it's not once an hour, it's like once every couple of minutes, I believe. So therefore, you have to decide who is going to communicate to and how. Now, if you're in your own nation, who is that, brothers and sisters? Who's it going to communicate to? The white man's not coming to put your fire out in your own nation. The yellow man ain't coming to put a fire out in your own nation. Nobody is but you. You see why we have to have higher level discussions when we talk about quote unquote nation building, other than I was with my queen last night. We was getting it on. We was nation building. Like, no, you wasn't. You really, really wasn't. You really wasn't. Trust me, you wasn't. So therefore, you need to decide if you're going to build your own nation, you need to decide who's coming to respond to these fires, because there will be fires. And especially in a first world nation, there will be fires. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you have to have, a responding force, and you also have to have a certain level of insurance to compensate. Because remember we talked about that in the first show? We talked about the transfer of risk. And so therefore, in a nutshell, brothers and sisters, I know this is a very rudimentary discussion of fire. It's a basic one. But you should know now that fire systems, alarm systems, consist of initiating circuits, which is smokes, smoke detectors, heat detectors, and anything that detects a combination of two, indicating devices, which are horns, strobes, and any mass notification that lets people know, get out this building. And it has a panel that has to communicate to a responding force, has two forms of communication, and the panel itself is constantly monitoring every wire for circuit integrity. In a nutshell, that's fire protection, and trust me, you're going to need it. We'll be back. Learning something from what we're saying. I hope and pray that you can put your thinking cap and hang with us. Again, it is not my intention to, doom and gloom, you can't build a nation. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you that we are not really, we're not really thinking along the lines of really building a nation if we don't consider all of these things as threats and then put ourselves in position to deal with these things. And that's really all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying anything in any way, shape, or form to try to discourage. In fact, I really want to encourage the building of a nation. But I want to encourage the smart building of a nation and the smart thinking of the building of a nation. And I think that the more information that you have up front of what you may be facing, the better prepared you are to be successful at it. And listen, BAIO, Afghanistan may not be the only nation built on the continent, you know what I'm saying? But the reality situation is if you decide that you want to build one, maybe you don't like us. Maybe you want to build your own, on some other part of the continent. And if you do, I wish you the best. I want you to have this information also. That's the thing that you don't understand about us. We're not trying to discourage anybody else's nation-building efforts, but we want to give you as much info as you possibly can so you don't make a stupid mistake. Because the more the merrier, to be very honest with you. If you build in a first world nation, if you're able to, and I know I'm throwing it out there like it's easy, I know it's not, but I do believe that it's possible. I believe that we will see it in this lifetime. I really do. I believe that we will see it in this lifetime. So what I'm saying to you is, quite frankly, in my judgment, if you decide to do it, then you should be forearmed and prepared, and that way, as many independent black nations off the shores of America that we can have, the better chance for quality of life and prosperity for black people and safety of young black people we can have. So anyway, brothers and sisters, listen, this segment, I wanted to depart from my discussion for a second. I wanted to talk about our good sister, Queen Afama. Holla did a video earlier today. We as the DIO support it. We support everything that he does in regards to our sister. But I just want to say, like, for me, I first came in contact with Queen Afama back in I want to say the year 2009 when I first came on Blog Talk. And, back then, Blog Talk was not what it is now. And I would say that, unfortunately, it's probably better back then than it is now. You know what I'm saying? But either way, in clicking around and listening to other people's radio shows, I came in contact with this one show with the sister that had an afro, and it said the Truth Terrorist. And I was like, oh, I'm down with that. Let me add her. Man, Queen Afama took, like, I want to say at least 90 days to accept my request. Because that was back in the day on Blog Talk where it was sort of like Facebook, and you could request somebody, you know what I'm saying, and they could accept. And, most people I added, they accepted right away. Queen Afama took a mad long time to accept me. You know what I'm saying? Because Queen Afama was on Blog Talk, and she was doing her thing. She was swinging. She was putting out that truth. And, in those days on Blog Talk, you had to have strong legs because Negroes was coming at you from every side. You know what I'm saying? So, she probably saw me as a potential threat at some point, but then listened to my show and realized, yeah, this brother don't mean me no harm. So, I followed her show, and then she started doing it eventually. Years later, then I used to hear her on Donna Corleone's show at some point. Years later, what ended up happening is that on Facebook, once I joined BAIO, I became a member of that because I realized that the goal of BIO is the same as mine, and I like the concept of land infrastructure nationhood. Lo and behold, I look in the group, and I see she's down with the group. I'm like, oh, shoot. So she doesn't know me, you know what I'm saying, because I never called in her show or anything like that. But she was like, I ended up adding her, and she posted a video one day, and she was like, well, if you can't make it, I said, sis, I've been listening to you since 2009. She said, really? You know me, I got that damn near photographic memory. So I started telling her certain things that I heard back in the day, and we became good friends. Like Queen Afama she was sometimes if she had like certain issues with certain family members, believe it or not, sometimes she would inbox me certain things and we would talk. And I would give her my advice, and then sometimes I would talk about certain things that she'd give me her advice. Sister Queen Afama was a beautiful sister. She was a beautiful sister. The whole Truth Terrorist thing seems gruff to a lot of y'all because you just don't know her. But deep down inside, Queen Afama was one of the most beautiful, sensitive, giving, compassionate, and really thought-provoking or deeply insightful sisters I've ever met in my entire life. Honest to goodness, real talk. Queen Afama was one of those I don't trust what I see on the surface kind of people. That's what she was. She was not the kind of person that would take what you said, anything you said, you know what I'm saying, by face value. It was very, very hard to earn her trust, you know what I'm saying? But once you earned her trust, she didn't second guess you. And that's what I thought was the most beautiful about her. It was, and that's something that I learned from her. If anything I learned from her is that you should do the screening up front. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us allow people into our sites or don't allow people into our sites, and then we try to judge the decision that we made years and later down the line. But what you don't realize, quite frankly, is that, you know what I'm saying? What you don't realize is that, if you did the screening in the beginning, then, you would save yourself a whole lot of problems because people reveal themselves later. Queen Latifah was the exact opposite. She didn't care who you was or how you was. She put you through the ringer. She asked you questions about yourself, how you felt about her, how you felt about Africa. That was very important to her. It was very important to her. Now, some of you listening on the line that you have a problem with the name Africa or whatever, don't be an idiot tonight. You know what I'm saying? The reality of it is that is the place where our people are at, fool. That's where they at. And if you think you have no connection to them and no affinity to them, you go ahead and think that. But the funny thing about it is, I don't want to get into this today because this is a tribute to my sister, but this must be said. I said this before and I'll say it again. The majority of you who teach on Kemet, even Muslims and other people like that, you teach on Kemet and you teach on all the ancient civilizations that come from there, but you don't want to be connected to the people. Like, you know how stupid you sound? Do you know how stupid you sound when you're teaching on all the ancient? You want to teach on the Igbo, you want to teach on Voodoo and all these other African spirituality, and see how it connects to modern religion. Insert here. But when we talk about building a nation on the continent, oh no, hell no, you can't do that. Like, you sound so stupid to me. Because how you gonna venerate thousands of years ago and reject today? I don't know. But either way, that was very important to Queen Latifah. She wanted to know how you felt about Africa. She wanted to know how you felt about Africans. She wanted to know. And if you was one of those busters that, talk a good game about Egypt, but deep down inside hate Africans, she'd sniff you out in the New York Minute. She would. She would sniff you out in the New York Minute. And then, because there was a couple of times when she said to me, brother, this person ain't right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have way more stories than that. And so be that as it may, brothers and sisters, at the end of the day, that's my view of my dear sister, a beautiful sister, Queen Latifah. It's a devastating, devastating loss to all of us. But it's a devastating loss to me too, man, because I love that woman. And I just, I thought that one day when we had like an actual BAIO meetup, I was going to meet her in person. I know somebody who knew her, like met her in person. We went to Africa with her, as a matter of fact. A sister I know named Abena Africa. And maybe one day I'll get Abena to come on and talk about her, because when I went to Philly and I met Abena in person, she threw that name out there. And I was like, you met Queen Latifah? Get out of here. And she was like, yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never met Queen Latifah in person, but that's one of the things that I wanted to do. And let me just say this, brothers and sisters, because it looks like Colin wants to talk, and then I'm going to bring him in. Me, Minister Dawood, I believe in meeting people in person. I believe in meeting people and searching them out, looking you in your eyes, searching your heart, whatever. Like, I do not believe in meeting you just to see if you can fight, if you gangster, none of that stupid stuff that people be talking about, whatever. I want to meet you to see if you're serious about what you say. If you're serious and you're true about what you say, I can tell when I meet you. You know what I'm saying? That's my goal. If I connect with you on Facebook, it's cool. Everything is cool. I got to touch you in person. And when I say touch you, I don't mean nothing homo. I just mean like I want to know who you are. I want to look you in the eye. And so to me, sometimes I think we put that off and we say we got another summer, and now I ain't never going to meet this sister in person. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying to you is that listen, life is short. And there's so much money that we spend on so much foolishness. You and I really have to make an effort to meet each other in person, because we just never know what fate is going to claim tomorrow. You figure, deal me? So anyway, let me bring Colin in and see what he has to say, brothers and sisters. Calling from the 757.
Oh, man. Beautiful show, man. The way you broke it down. And I'll begin by saying I saw the movie London Has Fallen,
Oh,
and
yes, sir.
Oh, man. Me and my girl went out to see that tonight, man. I tell you what, if you have any doubt, everything we say is in this movie. You know what I'm saying? Everything you talk about, security-wise, is in this movie. Any breach, any risk, all this stuff like that can bring your country down. London and these Western countries have a serious problem, right? It's the fact that they built these big colonial empires, these big, vast colonial empires. And then It was based on the fact that, okay, these people will become brown British, and Pakistan will be brown British. The Hong Kong people will be yellow British. You know what I'm saying? The people in Ivory Coast will be black Frenchmen. All these things like that. They thought the thing they had to worry about was communism, right? The white man had never really figured out that nationalism among people of color is real. You know what I'm saying? This is what you find out. So now you have all these people in your countries and everything. Why do you have all these terrorist attacks happening in things? These are people that were born in these countries. So in other words, you have an assimilated. So you're taking you got a Trojan horse inside your country where people who haven't assimilated into your country. At any time, they can be radicalized and bring your country down. And this movie that showed the extent of what it could. I mean, oh my God, I think also, Lord, that could really happen. The average citizen is not ready for if these people ever had this sort of magnitude. I don't know if it's just movies or not, but if anybody was trying to pull this off or whatnot, I know we're not London, but the goddamn man, this country will go down. I can see how somebody could actually bring this country down to a civil breakdown and everything like that, just like it had. The point is this: you're building a nation state, right? Like you said, borders, language, cultures, race. You know what I'm saying? I believe a nation state, the citizen, the person who's handed citizenship, right, should be part of a nation. You know what I'm saying? Right? The state also has this responsibility for people who are not part of the cultural nation, minority groups, visitors, people with visas, exchange students. All those people exist. Business people. All those people exist. They're protected by the state and certain things, right? This idea that you should basically assimilate anybody into a fragile, developing nation is insane. You know?
Right.
And so therefore, like I said, every time you look around, you have to basically check borders. Hey, you took a vacation over into the red flags coming when you got really advanced security. Well, we have like 7 students. They all took the vacation in the same country. Well, in that country that year, you know, we noticed that some terrorists were in that country too and whatnot. Where exactly did they go? What did they learn? You know what I'm saying? Who did they connect with? Well, I see a large number of money. These were the intelligence is all about. Why? Because if you get it wrong, your country's in trouble. You know what I'm saying? It's a constant battle. It never ends. You know what I'm saying? It's internal. That's why how are Negroes going to somehow we're going to control the community or not? We're going to clean together. They've been the most controlling communities for the last 7 years, and things are getting worse. You know what I'm saying? I don't see no control. You can't control what you can't control what's not yours. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, we're gonna take this area over. Like Minister Farrakhan was talking about going to Detroit. We should take over Detroit. With what? You know, with finding. I mean, I don't mean to laugh at the minister, man, but somebody needs to take him off the stage. Now he's endorsing Donald Trump. You know, somebody needs to. You know that remember the Daffy Duck cartoon and Bugs Bunny where the umbrella comes and snatches the guy off the stage. You know, he's on stage for. Somebody needs to do that to the minister and say, look, you need to sit down. You need to sit down. I want to talk about Queen Afama, right? Yeah, you're right. She didn't take to anybody, just anybody. You know what I'm saying? It took me like about 2 years for her to even like me. You know what I'm saying? It took me 2 years. I met her back in 2009. We got into it at first. It took me about 2 years. She started listening to my shows. She started inboxing me. I listened to your show last night. After she really saw me reveal myself, and she got to listen to my shows and everything like that, then she formed her opinion after like 2 years. It took her 2 years to like me. You know what I'm saying? Right. 2 years to warm up to me and everything like that. And because she didn't take no junk. She knew when people were real. You know what I'm saying? She knew when people were real. Like you said, you got to admit. See, on the internet, you don't know anybody because people could be anything on the internet, right? Now, when I meet somebody face to face, I know within 5 minutes whether you're real or not. I know I can sit down over a cup of coffee and figure out what you're all about when I look you in the eye. But on the internet, it's hard because people can be deceptive. You know what I'm saying? This is why it's so important. Like when people come into the BAIO and everything, I only know by what you post or what you say. I'm getting into your head, your thoughts. You know, and people ask, why are you so hard on people all the time? Because, you know what I'm saying, I don't trust everybody. You know what I'm saying? I learned just being on the internet all the time. People aren't who they say they are. You know, and they try
Right.
to get in there, try to undermine you, they try to backbite you and everything like that because they know they can.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so like I said, we just have to basically be more diligent and pay respect for the queen because she was like that, man. She basically, you know, if you she will some tests she knows how to test people. You know, so she didn't like the let's go to Africa thing, but after we explained to her the importance of a nation state, now she says, look, I agree, I get it now. I get what you guys are talking about. Yeah,
without a doubt.
The power base of our operations has to be someplace else. This should have been done 100 years ago.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? This should have been done 100 years ago.
Agreed.
You know, and we would not have no Detroit or Chicago's and St. Louis and all these hells on earth and everything in America. The power base should have been on the African continent. Our industrial base, our security base, our intelligence, our defense. Everything should have been concentrated in a nation state. You know, that's just freaking common sense. You know? And once we get all these people, like I said, all the signals are all out there, right? And all we do is be able to, like, do it like the scrambler. You know, like an old broadcasting, we got all these signals, and then you put it together. It's like a scrambler. You know, it puts it all together. You got a screen. Okay, we got an image now. Why? Because these signals are floating out there all the time. All we did, we're like a big satellite.
Right.
We take all these signals together out of the cloud and put them right there and say, wow, okay, land, infrastructure, nationhood. Create a nation state. Borders, language, culture. You know what I'm saying? Man, woman, child. You know what I'm saying? Produces family. You know what I'm saying? Social, your culture, your social structure leads to your economic leads means you have the ability to control your politics. Politics it turns around and basically you're able to write all, like you said earlier, you control what comes into your land, what goes out, what goes on. We don't have to worry about no guided FCC. You know what I'm saying? We have our own broadcasting, Federal Broadcasting Communication Corp that hands out licenses. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so therefore, it's just you came up with options. We have our own Academy Awards. You know what I'm saying? We could pay artisans on the federal and national level. Pay artisans to write books and novels, everything. Bring our history to life, so we can put it in film and everything. So we give our people a sense of pride that the salvation is not either dying and going to heaven or trying to be white. You know what I'm saying? Let them be proud of being be proud of being living in their own land and everything like that. So therefore, they can go any place in the world. They can go one place on this earth that they can go to, and that's there. We don't have that sense of sanctuary. You know, that sense of sanctuary like other races do. Everybody else got their one foot in America and one foot in their homeland. There's an old African proverb that says, only a fool tests the water level with both feet. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, the only thing that we have is the hood.
The hood. Let me talk about that. I told this other time. You know what's going on right now, right? There's a lot of black people who are leaving the hood in the city and not looking back, right? The hood is not our homeland. There's no flag. There's no anything. That's why you get your head split over by the police in the hood faster than you do anyplace else. And people say, we got to control our hood. You don't own anything. Gentrification is just like, okay, for 40, 50 years, 70 years, they let us live in these areas right here. But the only thing is, there's sewers under those land, that territory you live in, right? There's power lines. You know what that is? That's infrastructure. That infrastructure is not free.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That infrastructure has to be paid by tax dollars. If you're not producing tax dollars or whatnot, guess what? You're going to be moved out and somebody else is going to come in it. Because that infrastructure, that electricity you like, that running water you like, all that stuff like that costs. You know?
Sure.
So you think, this is my hood. I ain't going. You ain't your hood. You know what I'm saying? You didn't dig no sewers. You didn't do all those plots and everything like that. The making sure the roads are paved every 5 or 6 years and everything like that. All that stuff like that costs money. What do black people think? Oh, it's free. You know, it costs money. It costs money. It costs taxes. What do you think you pay taxes for? You know, you got to maintain the infrastructure, you know, to your way of life. You know, when you have your own piece of land and you incorporate it and form your municipality and you basically have your own tax base and everything, and it's yours. But that's never going to happen in North America. You know what I'm saying? They're never going to let any black person have any. Only people that probably have land like that is the Indians and the reservations. You know what I'm saying? But there's no blacks in the there's no black independent settlements in North America. We had townships. We had dozens of townships. But guess what was missing? Infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? You go to parts of North Carolina, you see abandoned townships. And I knew we were going down to the country. There used to be, I was a little kid. I used to go to some towns and whatnot. There was still dirt roads. And then if you wanted sewers, you had to go to a little city, inside the city. You know what I'm saying? And then you could have sewers and everything. So all the black people, townships and everything just died, throughout America. They're not going to give you roads and sewers and byways and spend money on you. They're not going to give you your own post office or rail station and everything. They're not going to give you that. What are you, crazy? If you want to use a telegraph, anything, you got to go to the white side part of town. You want to mail something, you got to go.
Exactly.
There's no infrastructure. That's why we have so much land. But what's the sense of having land if you can't develop it?
Word. Yo, hold on a second. I got somebody from the 704. Just stay on the line. I'm on the brain prison.
Oh, there's Thomas.
Calling from the 704.
Wagwan Star.
Is that you, Thomas? Peace, big brother. How you?
I'm good. You know what I mean? So what y'all going to do on the first day of inauguration of your new president, Donald Trump?
Yo, I don't know.
Because these niggas ain't going after voting.
Yo, but according to his son, we got they gonna finance us to leave and get out the country. So we all got a free ticket.
I'll be all for it.
You see what I'm saying?
All for it.
I'll be all for it. That would be ill, son.
We need to call him on that.
That's what I'm saying. Look, we'll be out there. We gotta get sold. We have delegates, man, down there. Oh yeah, you want us gone? Okay, it's gonna cost you $50 billion a year. $50 billion a year. We could take half of the black people out of America in 20 years. They would love that.
Mm-hmm.
15 billion, shit, you could get all of them out of here right now. 15 billion a year.
Word.
50 billion. Yeah, no, I'm just talking about over the time period. You can't stop the birth rate. But I'm saying, if Black America has another 20 years projected to 70 million people, they ain't gonna have that. Stuff is happening now. They cannot deal with no 70 million. 70 million people. If you ain't a nation with 45 million, you are definitely one with 70 million. You cannot have a balkanized race of people.
Hispanics will be the number one ethnic group.
Well, no, after Donald Trump is done, man, he's gonna get rid of 15 million of them. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna eventually leave America. He's gonna get rid of like 15 million. So black will be the number one pain in the ass again, unless we get out of here too.
My pops is going to Zaire if Trump wins.
Zaire is not even Zaire. It's the Congo, man.
Yeah, my pops, he's thinking the same. He said, I'm going to Zaire.
Oh, he still think it's like Ali Foreman fight.
He said, I'm going to Zaire.
He thinks it's 1974 Ali Foreman. Yeah, that's funny.
I almost choked on my tea when he said it. I was like,
oh man. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
So Thomas, I want to give us your take, brother, on the whole nation with borders topic.
Well, I'm coming in kind of late, so I actually didn't hear the first hour and a half of
it was explosive, man. Explosive, man. You gotta go back and listen to this.
So just tell me, well, what do you think about the whole nation? Because the whole concept started when we started seeing some posts from people saying that the only way that you could really develop or build a nation on the continent of Africa is if you have a nation without borders. Allow people to come in when they feel like coming in, and this is going to create harmony. So what's your thoughts on this particular concept?
Well, okay, so, I believe that you have to define some type of borders in order to maintain some type of control. I don't believe that you can just have people come in who don't necessarily add value to the society, because what you'll have is a situation where people will come just for the sake of, they have resources, but they're not bringing anything to the table, and it is what it is. It's not,
exactly.
It's not about it's not about, becoming an oasis for people who want to just come and rummage and scavenge. You have to be able to bring some skill set, something of value to the society.
Right. Right.
That's as simple as I can put it.
You go.
Like, yeah. I mean, even like countries like Germany do that. Like they look at what kind of skills someone, an immigrant, brings to the table. They'll look at, like, if you have two Indians and one is just store clerk, but the other one does coding, they're going to let the one with coding in first.
But get this, I was watching this program. Did you guys see that series, The Pacific Century, with Petey Coyote made back in 1993, I believe it was? Anyway, I was watching a little bit of it last night. The one, you have to see this. You have to see, it should be mandatory for everybody in BIO. The Pacific Century. You know what I'm saying? It's like a 7-part series. Okay? It's all about the West influence in Asia, leading up to the Meiji Restoration in Japan, the wars in China, Japan War, all these things. And then the first time yesterday, I seen the one with the Philippines. Right? I didn't know America had did that damage to the Philippines. I had no idea. You know how Imelda Marcos and Ferdinand Marcos, how America put them in power and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. One of the parts of that was what intrigued me was the fact that the Filipinos make up the largest number of Asians in America. This is 1993. I don't know what the numbers are now, but they said that
it's probably like triple that now, bro.
Yeah, it's probably triple that now. But anyway, the one lady was like, she was like, yeah, I'm a nurse, right? And she's in an infirmary, right? And she goes, I went to school and everything in the Philippines, but I came to America because America has a shortage of nurses. And America has a shortage of doctors and nurses and everything. This is why you see countries in the third world. Why do you think you see more third world doctors from third world countries in America as doctors? You know what I'm saying? Yes. America has a shortage. Our population has a shortage. So you got a lot of people coming from like Nigeria. See, we got 15,000 Nigerians. That ain't nothing to brag about. That means you're. And one lady, she said, she goes, and she started breaking down crying. She goes, "This baby's dying in the Philippines, and I'm staying here in America. And I should be over in the Philippines doing this, but I can't make a living. I got to send money back and everything." And that's why you have all these doctors from Pakistan, Ethiopia, and everything in America. You know what I'm saying? Because America, the first world country, it's like slavery all over again. You go and educate all for this money for somebody to be educated, and they got to go to the first world to get a job. So London and all these countries are sitting back like, oh, we're just waiting for this friggin' them come to us. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to have any doctors anymore. They're going to do the work. That's still a job. Doctor's a job. We're going to still benefit. And so, like you said, all these countries like Germany and everything, this is why they're so liberal on their racial immigration policy, because they need these people, because if they try to pay for white doctors or whoever that live in the first world and everything, they have to pay them. They're going to have to, it's a lot of money. It's cost effective to have other countries send their investment rights. But what does that developing country do? It stays developing.
Right.
So
if I can interject to add some credence to what you're saying, I just got out. The job I had before the one I'm at now, they had this Filipino dude that they hired. He could barely speak English. You know what I'm saying? But we had long conversations. And one of the things I was like, so how did you get over? Because he's only been here since 2010. And he drives this like gigantic, like freaking, I guess the Toyota equivalent to a Ford F-350. I'm like, how the hell you only been here since 2010 and you driving this big truck? He says, oh, my wife, she, I guess she's a nurse. And basically what happened was this. They contracted her to come over here and work for this nursing home. And essentially, they paid for her immigration and his immigration for her to come over here and work at the nursing home because apparently there's a shortage of nurses also. So but here's the thing. The thing is, you just connected some dots for me because I'm saying to myself, why the hell would America, make it so easy for Filipinos to come over here and work like that? And I'm thinking that that's some kind of restitution for the damage that they did to their country. You know what I'm saying? Is it possible?
There's a whole that too. America does things out of diplomatic. Like, let me give you an example. The Koreans. Why do you think there's so many Koreans in black neighborhoods? Why? Because America has bases in Korea. At the time, they were still fighting a Cold War. They really thought communism was going to take over. What they were really fighting was nationalism. Some people knew it was nationalism,
right,
but they interpreted it as communism. So the trade-off was, okay, we'll let you come over here. Why do you think immigrants do so well in America? You think how does these Asian and African immigrants do so well in America when past Irish immigrants and Italian immigrants starved? You know, is it much better? No. America has programs, because strategic programs to attract people from certain countries to extract their brain power and also gain influence in that country. It's geopolitics. You know, it's just all geopolitics. So it's not like, people look at these people. We over here 5 years, we're doing better than the African Americans. No, fool. You got government programs helping you and putting you in that place right here, because America is the lion's share. And lion's share at the end of the day, they're gonna rob your country like they're doing in Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? The reason why Nigerians are doing well so well in America, right, is because they're robbing them blind with their oil. You know what I'm saying? It's as simple as that. It's a trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them never miss the BAIO. We're not the group, man. We are not the group. You know, we'll take anybody up, chew them up, and spit them out. You know what I'm saying? All the nonsense people spewing us, we'll chew them up and spit them out. You know, I've been studying all this. I studied all this hard for 25 years. There's nothing anybody can tell me about nation building. You know, nothing anybody can tell me about geopolitics. I'm ready for the world.
But wait a minute, you're saying that nation building is not making love to your queen?
No, nation building. You know what nation building is? Nation building. Yo, check this out. Nation building is the hardest thing. It's the challenging thing. But if you do it, it's just like going to a gym and working out. I gotta work out. You know what I'm saying? It's like trials and tribulations. Mm-hmm. You push yourself, discipline yourself. You gotta get up, discipline. Yeah, discipline yourself. It's like saying I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to go. That's what nation building is. It's the hardest thing we're ever gonna do. But if we do it right here, I guarantee you, in 10 years. I guarantee you, 10 years. I'm telling you right now, if we were disciplined in 10 years, you know what I'm saying, we'll astonish the world. You know what I'm saying? I know it will. The only thing holding us back is the fact that we don't have leadership. You know, even if so-called people should know better, they're still going on that not everybody's on this, who will vote for Bernie and Hillary. Who cares? The Oscars. All this stuff is just to distract black people from the fact that, do you really want to be free? Do you want to know what it's like in your life to basically know what it's like to live in a first world country that you control? I dream about that. What would it be like to go in a country that when I step on the soil, right, and I'm looking at the shoreline, that the corporation of this land is a flag that my ancestors planted, and they say this is my land. So whoever it is, I am the man here. You know what I'm saying? I am the man. This is my piece of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Any black man who doesn't want that is is insane. Yeah, your brother.
Carla, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this back and forth you're having with this Chisoro dude.
Yeah.
About the black man in America.
Yeah. Like I said, man, I got my fan club. My fan club, brother. Yeah, these guys, man, they never leave me alone. You know, they never leave me alone.
Yo, check it out, Tom. He says, this brings up an interesting point. Would non-African American spouses be full citizens of Afghanistan? Would it be like Jamaica and some so-called African countries set up by Westerners, colorblind constitution, and black underclass, brown underclass? I'm not sure what that question means.
No, what it basically is this is what it is. Let me tell you about what's his name, Chirozor, whatever. You know what I'm saying? He's a very brilliant brother, right? But he's actually Nigerian descent, and he's born and raised in America, right? He has this problem with black people, African American, as an ethnic group. You know what I'm saying? He has this problem with It's all right for Jamaicans to call themselves Jamaicans. Let me break this down to you. It's all right for Jamaicans to call themselves Jamaicans, right? It's all right for Haitians to call themselves Haitians, right? It's all right for Nigerians and Igbos, wherever, to identify themselves. When you say yourself African American, you can't do that. We're all black. No. What is this about African? Somebody says that African American, the whole world's in an uproar. You know what I'm saying? You got this comedian, what's his name, on the Comedy Central. You know, that dude from Trevor Noah, whatever his name is. You know, we should call African American. So in other words, basically, look, let me break it down like this. The Scott Irish. You know why they call Scott Irish? because they're Scottish people, but for like 600 years they lived in Ireland as an ethnic group, right? And then when they came to America, they weren't just regular Irish. They weren't Irish Catholic. They were Scottish. That's a specific identity, right? French Canadians. What are French Canadians? They're French people. They're Canadians of French descent that created a way of life from France in Canada. So they're called French Canadians, an ethnic group, right? African Americans, right? We're African descendants of the transatlantic slave trade who had a history in America, right? Through slavery, Jim Crow, everything. That's African Americans. That's the people who from all different parts of Africa who have a history in America through the transatlantic slave trade and the mafia and the brutal system of slavery that made us into one people. You know, that's African American. Why do people want to take that from us? You know. And then I said to him, and he asked me about the Afghanistan. I told him many times. I said, now we go to the Afghanistan, all these other people from the diaspora are welcome. We're not going to be African American no more. We're not going to be Jamaican anymore. We'll be Afghanistani. I said like this, with the land, we'll be part of the land now. You know, we'll be a new nation. But he's still like, well, the underclass. Look, it's like automatically. That's like you just asked. You remember you said when we bring on nigger ways over there and all stuff like that. Why do people think we're gonna bring niggerism to Africa? We're gonna bring our best and brightest. Is that the only thing we know how to do is complain and be down out? No, we're gonna have our best and brightest there. Now, if you're smart like Thomas was, you're gonna become a millionaire easily. You know, if you're dumb, you know what I'm saying, you might not do so well. You might be a janitor, but it ain't gonna be nobody holding you back. It's gonna be opportunity there for you to pull yourself up. Let me tell you something why this is dangerous, right? Let me tell you why this is dangerous, right? There are people in our community, right? And what I don't like is this. You go to a place like 125th Street, there's too many black men that sit out there who don't work, who basically somehow make a living. They got 2 baby mamas or whatever. They live in a shelter, whatever, and they're making too much noise. To me, if you don't produce nothing, you ain't got a family you're raising, you ain't got a job, you ain't got that. I don't want to hear what you got to say. If you're out there peddling nonsense on the street corner, I don't even say, because you got too many black men who basically are like scoundrels. They're usurpers. You know what I'm saying? And they'll basically seize power through intimidation, threats, and through bullying, and through mob violence. You know what I'm saying? If you can't control the mob, that's another thing about security. You got to control the mob mentality. You got to know how the mob does. The mob is always the mob. The guy who's a mob, real mob, is always trying to look for a way how to discredit the social order. You know, the power structure. You know what I'm saying? Now, there are legitimate ways to achieve power through the social, economic, and political process. But when you're just basically saying, oh, we got this group of people that's ruling everything and everything, but those group of people did the hard work, they educated themselves, that's why they're prosperous. If you're going to sit in a bar saloon 24 hours a day and drink and everything, you're not educate yourself, what makes you think you're going to just rise up and seize power? See, all these things were challenged in modern civilization and ancient civilization. You know what I'm saying? And we have to understand who these people are. We have them among us. And I think that's going to be the next topic on next show, the enemy within, the rogue element. You know, the rogue element. We have a rogue element that we don't want to deal with. And we're always succumbing to them. You know, they engage in criminal activity. They do all this kind of stuff like that. And if you let these people fester, you know what I'm saying, you'll have a nation, but guess what? What's stopping that dude, the rogue element, from getting armed from your enemies? If he really wants to take you out, he's jealous and everything like that. They're in the bottom of our society and everything because they haven't done anything and everything because they want to smoke dope and drink all and get high all day and everything. They don't do nothing, right? Do you think it's not possible that the CIA or somebody else come in and say, you know something, I see how you guys are thinking. We could put you in power if you go follow our footsteps. And it's been done so many times before. You know, that's who they recruit among. They recruit among the rogue element. You know, and so we have to do that.
Hey, well, listen, fellas, I got to bounce because I got to get up early in the morning. I mean, it was fun, but I got to get up early in the morning. So I hate to cut the conversation, but I got to go.
Right,
let me see if Holla wanted to. Yo, Holla, did you want to say something, big brother?
Oh,
I know you're at work.
He on the phone, sir. He's politicking.
I got you. All right, y'all. Listen, I got to bounce. I thank you for calling in or whatever, but I got to get up early in the morning, man. So,
all right, brother. Get that
thank you for all that you added. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Take it easy, big brother. As I came before you, dismiss myself, greetings, peace, assalamu alaikum.
All right, brother. Peace.
Peace.
Assalamu alaikum.